Good morning, everyone. Today's Tuesday, September 1st, 2020, and this is the Westwood Public School Committee meeting. And I'm going to call this meeting to order at this point. And starting with roll call attendance. Maya Plotkin,
Here.
Anthony Mullen,
Here.
Amanda Phillips,
Here.
Charlie Donahue. Is Charlie in with us?
He is, but he's muted.
Okay.
Here.
Yes, great, Charlie. All right. Great to have you all here this nice sunny morning. Before we get going into our agenda, I want to just recognize this is a live broadcast. We are online streaming is available through the Westwood Media Center and also online. The purpose of this is to provide real-time public access to the activities of the school committee in accordance with the March 12, 2020 executive order of Governor Baker. You can access us at westwood.k12.ma.us/live. All right, we're going to jump right in to our discussion items. The first discussion item is the second reading of the face mask policy. As you'll recall, we had our first discussion on this last week. So let's jump right into that. Emily, do you have any comments you want to make at this point about the policy?
No, I think last week we really talked about sort of the highlights of the policy. I do think that this is going to be an important part of our plan to keep everybody in the school community safe. And so as soon as the school committee approves the policy, I will include this in a communication that I'll be sending out to parents, just to make sure that everybody really understands what the new policy is.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Does anyone have any discussion, having read the policy thus far? I mean, we can look through it. Does anyone have any comments on the substance of the policy or any changes at this point or thoughts? No? Okay, so this is the second reading of the policy. In accordance with our own school committee policy, we do have the ability to waive the third reading of the policy. And since time is of the essence, I wonder if we could entertain that option, if you all, the rest of my school committee members, are interested in waiving the third reading.
I make a motion to waive the third reading.
A second.
Any discussion on that? No. Okay, great. So all in favor, Maya,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Amanda.
Yes.
Okay, so we have waived the third reading. So now, for purposes of adopting the actual policy, I think we need to do another motion, right? So I need a motion to approve the face mask policy as it is written. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any further discussion on this policy? Seeing none, let's take a vote. Maya,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
and I also approve the policy. It is unanimous, so the motion carries, and we now have our face mask policy. Excellent, thank you. All right, moving on to action items. It's a big day. There's been a lot of work over the past few months, and here we are. So today we're looking for a vote to ratify the Westwood Teachers Association's Memorandum of Agreement. Emily, do you have any comments that you want to make before we entertain a vote on this?
Well, so we had the opportunity to talk more thoroughly about this in executive session last week, but I would just say that, I said a couple of months ago that I thought if there was any district that could work through the many challenges that are required in the situation that we find ourselves in, I thought that Westwood was a district that could do it. And I am pleased to say that we have navigated through some challenging terrain to really think about how to safely reopen schools this fall. So the MOA that you have addresses a number of concerns around health and safety and around issues like professional development, and sort of spells out some important parameters that we needed to address in terms of changes in working conditions in a hybrid or a fully remote model. So I think with this agreement in place, we are, teachers are actually back yesterday, and we are kind of off and running for the year, and eagerly looking forward to welcoming our students back.
Great, thank you. Does anyone have any comments or, any discussion or questions, or this is your time?
I just wanted to say, Emily and your staff, to thank you for all the time and effort you put into it to make this work. The reason we can work with the teachers so well because of the history of the work you did with them. And Tony and Carol, all the work you did for the school committee. I think it was a tremendous effort. And also to thank the teachers also for their cooperation and support for all of this. I think it's been a tremendous effort on the part of all of you, and just want to thank you very much.
Absolutely, Charlie, thank you. And I should have said something very important, which is that the Westwood Teachers Association has already had their ratification vote, and they have in fact ratified this agreement. So the last piece is the school committee's ratification.
Yeah, I just want to echo what Charlie said. I think that this has been a really difficult summer for everybody, for parents and for district administration and for teachers. There have been a lot of considerations that everybody has been thinking about and talking about. And I think at some point it's easy to sort of see what you see and not see the other viewpoint. And I think this vote today, the fact that we can ratify this and that the teachers union ratified it, showed how strong of a relationship we have with the teachers, how much the teachers care about the Westwood district, and how important they are to us, and how important, our kids are to them. And I see what's going around in other towns, and I honestly think that we landed somewhere that hopefully we can make work. And I just want to thank everybody, the district administration, the teachers union, the school committee members who negotiated this, and just echoing Charlie, saying thank you to everybody. I'm optimistic about this fall. So thank you very much to everybody.
Thanks, Maya. Any other comments? I think we all share the same appreciation, and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in this process. And thank you for the Westwood Teachers Association. It does for sure show that we do all work as a team, and we all have our children's best interest at heart here. So we're in great shape having this agreement. So let's move on then to do what we came here to do, which is to ratify the Westwood Teachers Association Memorandum of Agreement. So I think, well, no, we'll just do it. Never mind. Okay, can I get a motion to ratify the agreement?
So
I'll
moved.
make a motion to ratify the WTA agreement MOU.
Okay, a second?
Second.
Okay, Charlie, thank you. Any further discussion on this? Okay, seeing none, let's take a vote. Maya?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
And I am a yes, and so it is unanimous, and we have now officially ratified the Memorandum of Agreement with the Westwood Teachers Association. Thank you all for that. Now let's move on to the next action item, which is the approval of the revised 2020-2021 calendar. Because of all of the changes we have made, there's some changes because of all the changes in terms of how we are educating our kids and so forth. We have changes to the calendar. Emily, do you want to talk about some of those changes?
Sure. So the school calendar that you have before you, first of all, reflects your vote to begin school in the hybrid model. And so you can see that the calendar sort of notes the in-person days for different cohorts and the remote Wednesdays. So that's the first change. Secondly, the calendar that you had voted last spring had a different start date. So now we have a calendar that reflects the September 14th start date for students. And you can see in the bottom right-hand corner of the page, it also articulates the phase-in start dates that we talked about at last week's meeting, and that reflect our memorandum of agreement with the WTA. And then two other changes that have been made. We have two additional dates on this calendar that will be professional development days for teachers. We've placed them on remote Wednesdays, what would have been remote Wednesdays. So you can see on March 10th and May 12th, those are now designated as in-service days. That's in addition to November 3rd, which we had previously designated as an in-service day for teachers. November 3rd, of course, is election day. And so we had selected that date so that we could accommodate voting in our buildings. So with those dates added and leaving the vacations the same and the other holidays the same, you can see here that the final day for students at this point would be June 16th.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments on the calendar?
One question. So I understand, I mean, I guess it's the timing of the professional development days. Like, I understand the November one, it'd be 6 weeks after we've started. Was there a rationale why we didn't have one maybe earlier than March again?
Yes, I mean, to be honest with you, as we looked at the calendar, we felt like we were interested in making sure that we could get some momentum going each month. And there were a lot of other, holidays and vacations, and it just felt important to get as much instructional time in as we could in the fall. And March is a month that has nothing else on it, so we thought that would be a good time. The May date, I would say, is more strategic. We do need time in May around transition meetings and some of the important work that we do to prepare for the next year. So that date's quite specific.
Other questions, comments, thoughts? No? Okay. So we need to take a vote to approve this revised school calendar.
Carol, can I make one last clarification? I just want to make sure I say out loud, because I do get asked this. So there are no more early release Wednesdays on this calendar, right? In the traditional way that we did them before. So, we have the remote Wednesday learning schedule, but there's nothing happening on alternating Wednesdays like we would in a traditional school year. So I just want to clarify that for people.
There was actually one comment I had. And maybe it's changed because I've lost track. The middle school schedule I thought was different on Wednesdays, and I don't know if that's reflected in the calendar. The schedule is different for parents, for children.
Right. Well, so I would have to go back and look at the exact times myself at this point, because I don't want to say the wrong time. But the whole schedule is different on remote Wednesdays because every block is meeting at the middle school. So I would have to go back and look and see what the dismissal time is.
Okay.
Other questions? Anything? Okay, let's take a vote, people. Let's, do I get a motion to approve the revised school calendar, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you, Charlie. Any further discussion on this issue? Okay, seeing none, let's take a vote. Maya?
Yes.
Tony?
Yes.
Charlie?
Yes.
Amanda?
Yes.
And I am a yes, so we are unanimous in approving the revised school calendar for the 2020-2021 school year. All right, I think that's it for action items. So any new business at this point?
Yes, I'd like to bring up this issue we've talked about a little bit, and that is the whether Westwood could explore the possibility of fast testing of our teachers and our students. It's a long way to be out of this pandemic, and I think if we really want to keep as many kids in school and keep it going as long as we can, hopefully forever, we need to begin to seriously look at the possibility of doing this. And I want to thank Tony for showing me an article recently about how Wellesley has been doing this for about a month. Their school committee has done it. They've talked about it. Their board of selectmen have done it. Their health department has done it. They're now out there looking for other towns to work with them to maybe get some economies of doing the testing. And they also are putting out RFPs to see how much it would cost, how it would be done. And I'd like to have some discussion, if possible, on whether we would look into this, explore what Wellesley has done to see whether it might be of interest to us. None of this is to make decisions, but just explore this. And because they've done so much work already on it, and we could learn from that and possibly join with them, I'd really like to get some discussion. And I'd like to recommend that we start to do that exploring, and we get our own select board to begin to become familiar with what's going on here, and to see if possible at some time we might be able to afford it, because ultimately the top people out there in the health field are advising people, if you have a low positivity town like us, you can do it. And I'm looking at this as a way of keeping this program going that we've just designed as long as possible. So that's what I would like to ask for feedback from the school committee on what we do on this issue, and whether in fact we explore closely with Wellesley, who has taken the lead in doing a lot of this work.
Okay, thank you, Charlie.
So Charlie, just to clarify, when you say Wellesley has done it, what exactly do you mean? Do you mean that they've put out the RFP and they've started discussions?
They talked about it for a month at their school committee. They've talked it at their town selectmen, they've talked it with their health department. The whole issue of why do we want to do it? Will it improve anything? Will it help our teachers? Will it help our students? And they're all looking down the road where 40% of the people who are infected don't know they have it, but they can infect other people. And if you really want to find those people, isolate them, check their contacts. If you want to do all that, you have a good chance of keeping this thing going without having groups of students showing up, closing schools, and all of those things. The worry is some of this stuff could collapse. So they've spent, they have a committee in the town of physicians and other health providers who have been doing the work with the school committee and the others. So they've done an awful lot of the work to the point now where they're looking at who can do a fast test for them, how much will it cost, and how do they raise the money.
So they haven't actually voted to test the student bodies.
All it is just exploring.
Yeah.
Can we afford it? Number one. How would it happen? How would it be done? All of it is just research. And there are people out there now, it's getting competitive. For the fast test, you get the turnaround time is within a day. But they've reached the point of wanting to explore it. It may not be possible, they may not be able to afford it, but at least they're looking into all of those questions.
And are you talking about pool testing or just individual testing?
Everyone now that is trying to do it is doing pool testing because of the cost doing it. It's very, very inexpensive relative to the others. And there's an awful lot being learned in Boston by the universities. Northeastern BC, BU, and Tufts are all bringing the kids on campus, hoping to have them in the classrooms. So they've come up with new ways of doing fast pool testing. So all of it is exploring it. It may never happen. We may not be able to afford it, but at least we could begin to look at that possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I guess, again, not being just reading the public literature, not being a public health expert, it does seem testing and contact tracing most experts do agree. Obviously, those are both helpful. I guess, I mean, I think it's worth exploring. I think particularly the thing that would be worth exploring is speed, like in getting test results quickly. And I don't know, I know companies are doing this where they're partnering and guaranteeing kind of 24-hour, basically 24-hour turnaround. So, because I know we look at our experience this summer, speed is, testing is testing, but getting results quickly is extremely important as well. So I think it's certainly worth exploring what that looks like. Obviously, the cost is, maybe prohibitive, but it may be more of a partnership where we, have somewhere we can go, staff or people can go. And also I would encourage, I know we've talked about a bit of a public health campaign with everything related to flu and other things, and obviously keeping children home sick. But this could be part of that, like if if you go outside the state to one of the states, here's an alternative, you can quickly get a test, for example. So I could see this as part of the public health campaign as well, even if it was something we weren't, systematically doing.
Right. Other thoughts on this? What
So
about? Okay.
Sorry. So I agree with Charlie that I think if we were to explore this, we would certainly have to partner with the select board and with the Westwood Department of Health. I think that those are critical stakeholders and partnerships that we would have to form. Clearly, we couldn't do this just on our own. So I think that's probably of exploring this further.
I think it makes sense to have a conversation with the people who are spearheading this in Wellesley to, at least figure out what they've learned and what steps they took to get it off the ground, and see if it's something that, we want to try to replicate or to partner with them to, bring the cost down. I think the more testing we can do, the better. Everybody agrees on that. But when I was looking at the fundraising numbers, that Wellesley was targeting, it seemed really, really high. So I'd be interested to learn how much they've raised so far.
What's really, really high? What are they targeting, Amanda?
I thought it was like 1.5 to 3 million. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's right.
That is right. I would just sort of underscore a comment that Tony made that, one of the things that we've done this summer is we've been putting into place all of the protocols that we need to have in place for health and safety. And we did have that discussion about what we learned in ESY, and this issue of testing turnaround time, right now, which is like 5 to 14 days, is really potentially very problematic as we get people back to school. And just thinking about sort of operationally, this implementing those protocols with those very long turnaround times could be the thing that that sort of undoes the model that we have in place. And so I think it would be worth exploring.
I think everybody that's been talking about it in Wellesley are talking about the fast turnaround time, which is within a day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any further discussion on this? Any other new business?
Well, I would like to say is that if anybody would like to explore this to bring back to the school committee what they've learned, I'd like to invite anybody that would like to further explore it. I personally would like to further explore it, but if there'd be anyone else like to explore it, to learn more about it. But I think that we need to learn a lot more about it. And I'd be happy to do that myself unless somebody else would like to volunteer to do it.
I mean, I can partner with you, Charlie, if you're looking for someone.
That'd be great
Fine.
if the two of you want to partner on that, and we can talk about it again at the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you. All right, seeing no further new business.
Carol-
Sorry, excuse me. Can I have one thing? Just at the next, I think going into September 10th, if we could get a brief update on the financial pictures that kind of emerges, that would be great.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
And Carol, if I could just say that I know that that families are waiting for a lot of information from us, and we feel that, we know that, and now that we really kind of have total clarity on what the plan is, going forward. Within the next 24 hours, we will be getting a lot of information out to people about opening days for school. And I mistakenly said at the last school committee meeting that the high school cohorts would be out on Monday, but I am told by Mrs. Davenport that they are releasing the high school cohorts, homeroom assignments, and also a walking tour schedule for high school students. They'll be releasing that information today. So people should be on the lookout for that.
Thanks.
Okay, great. All right, anything else? No? Okay, so those who are listening to our meeting, please, we don't get a wide audience generally. Feel free to let your friends and families know that more information is on its way quickly. All right, so at this point, I think I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion. Second.
Okay, and knowing there's probably no discussion on adjourning, let's take a vote. Maya,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
and I'm a yes, so let's adjourn. Thank you all for this.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody. Great work.
Thanks.